Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to have you. I've been trying to get you on the show for ages by basically blackmailing you through asking people if they want to shag, marry, or kill you.
How'd I do?
Actually, very well. Yeah. You have like at least, actually, I think you have 3 spouses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
you're a popular pick.
Are they all women, or do I get attracted from both sides of the aisle?
Joe Chang also married you.
Okay. All right. I must have missed that in his episode. I must have overlooked that.
Yeah, it was at the end. Wait, oh, that's the best part. You have to go back and watch it because he talks about like whispering certain things in your ear during pillow talk.
I obviously did not listen to enough of his episode. I mean, I thought I listened to all of it because I got through all the stuff about like how he's not sure if he's raising his kids right and if he should let them be Patriots fans. I caught a lot of stuff there, and there was also his deep seated issues with buffets and making sure he gets enough of the good stuff. So I felt like I got it, but I must have missed the part where he was whispering things in my ear. I really feel like that would have stuck with me. I really do.
That's what I'm saying. It was my favorite answer ever. I was like, this is the best. So you definitely need to go back and watch that because Joe like has some serious feelings for you.
Oh, well, I'm a pretty desirable guy. What can I say?
Sure. Yep. I agree. Every time somebody says they're going to marry you, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
If you're looking for a middle-aged, slightly pudgy, donut-filled blogger, like I'm your dude.
Or if you're looking for like a really smart guy who really loves pizza and donuts,
I do love pizza and donuts.
right? And loves to travel and knows how to fly you first class, that's another spin on marrying you, right?
I think just me personally, and I know you'll appreciate this, but I think me personally, I think the fact that I'm a Yankees fan really does add to the glamour of it all.
Oh, absolutely. Unless you're not a New Yorker, and then probably everybody hates it.
Yeah, I'm a born and raised New Yorker, so I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm Giants and Yankees. I never really adopted a hockey team. Like I certainly rooted for the Rangers when I lived there, but
Okay.
I like I could I could root for the Islanders if I absolutely had to. But I'm probably more of a Rangers fan. But I'm a diehard Yankees and Giants fan. Like I know the Giants are gonna suck this year, but I'm still in for it.
Okay. So on that note, it's great. Like you're already like bringing up the things I wanted to talk to you about. So I am also Yankees, Giants. I grew up in a football family.
I know.
Football, baseball family. And so my grandpa, like I went to Cooperstown every year, and I have so many like autographs and pictures and baseballs and all that stuff. Unfortunately, like I don't have kids to, I feel like kids love that stuff, like the memorabilia.
Yeah.
But I'm not like putting it up in my house, but I do have it. um, so I'm all in for the Yankees, but I'm having an issue with the Giants because
Is this the Eli thing?
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't tolerate it. Like it broke my heart, and I'm like, I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to enjoy the Giants without Eli because when I picked up football, it was because I joined a fantasy league when I was 18. And Eli's been the quarterback this entire time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm older than you, so I remember other quarterbacks.
Right. I don't. So what do you think? Like, should I be able to get over this? Like, am I going to? How did you move on so quickly?
You're gonna get over it. Here's how I moved on so quickly. I am firmly in the belief that somebody at Giants HQ is going to wake up and show Dave Gettleman the door. And so, like at the point at which Gettleman is gone, and for those who aren't sports fans, Dave Gettleman is the general manager of the Giants,
Mhm.
and he kind of sucks. And so when Gettleman is gone, then we can have Eli back for a victory lap.
Absolutely. Also, the best thing ever was when they fired McAdoo.
Oh God, I mean, just and look, like full disclosure, I was not an Eli fan early on. I really wasn't. I mean, threw a lot of turnovers. He's sort of got like, I mean, thankfully the thing with him is he could throw the worst turnover in the world, and then on the next play he could throw it 80 yards for a touchdown. Like he didn't have the emotional psyche of oh my god, now like I'm gonna fall apart. He just he would pitch the next one down the field for a touchdown. I grew to love him. One of the few Giants players I have a jersey for, and he's he holds a place in Giants history. I mean, 2 Super Bowl wins. I mean, technically Phil Simms doesn't even have that because of Hostetler getting the second one. So um I'm pro Eli. It took me a while to get there.
You actually had a tweet. I didn't tell you this because I didn't want to sound like a crazy person, but
You are.
Obviously. I feel like everybody knows that by now. You had a tweet that made me cry when Eli was starting his last game. You wrote like one more time. And I was purposely avoiding Twitter that day because I didn't want to see it because I knew I was going to cry. And I saw yours, and then I was like crying like a baby.
Well, I could tell you the last time I cried at a sporting event, fully willing to admit it, I got sort of dumb lucky and got tickets to Jeter's last game, and we were in the outfield, way out in the outfield, because those seats were really expensive.
Yeah.
And my cousin was with me. And it was. I've never felt Yankee Stadium shake like that. And it was a meaningless regular season game. We weren't going anywhere, and Jeter hits the walk-off. And I mean, not only was it the loudest I've ever heard a stadium, but grown men were crying, and I was one of them. So
yeah, that's an institution, like one of the players who like changed your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think I cried in high school when they lost to the Diamondbacks.
Oh, that was still a pit. Like the perfect ending to that year. What for New York was for the Yankees to win, and I think if you ever wonder if sports is fixed, the answer to it, the proof that it's not fixed is the fact that the Yankees did not win the 2001 World Series.
Yeah, so like it was the newest team at the time, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, Diamondbacks were the newest team. Yep. Yeah. And that was also it was Cal Ripken's last year, because I had tickets to Cal Ripken's last game at Yankee Stadium, and the game got canceled because of 9/11 and the dates getting moved all around. And we wanted to pay our respects to Cal because he was such a great player, but we wanted to get to Yankee Stadium at that point, to finish out the season. At that point, we just couldn't get tickets, so it was unfortunate we never got to Yankee Stadium after 9/11 to sort of like share in that moment that all the New Yorkers shared in. Those games were such a big part of making everybody feel normal again.
Yep. Yeah. Well, at least you got to go to Jeter's, and we could spend the entire hour talking about sports, but we won't. But I just want to say, Eli, if you see this, we love you. Please come back as like a coach or a commentator or something.
Yes. Yeah.
I need more Eli in my life. Okay, so one thing that you've been talking about on your blog and your podcast. First, please tell everybody where they can find you.
Right here in my house. I'm in quarantine.
Normally, how about virtually?
Yeah, virtually, yeah. So I was late to this whole internet thing. I kept thinking Facebook would go away, and so the name of my blog that I stuck on it. I'm one of the old timers on this too. My blog is 13 years old now. So I put the name Pizza in Motion on it 13 years ago, thinking I'm going to come up with a really cool name, but I'll stick this on here for now. And I never, ever got back to it. So I am Pizza in Motion pretty much everywhere. Blog, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But for folks who like to listen, which if you're here with me and Bethany on the video thing, I love podcasting, mostly because it means I get to talk to friends who Bethany was a very early guest when we were in Vegas at the sort of like bizarro world of the Treasure Island pool in the background. Yeah. But you can find me on my podcast, Miles to Go, which I just absolutely love talking travel every week with friends about, pretty much anything you can imagine.
Yeah, it's an awesome podcast, especially for anybody who's interested in miles and points, because it's a fun way to consume your content rather than just reading.
Yeah.
So, awesome.
But I'm biased.
No, it's really good. You're right. Yeah. Okay, so that's where you can find Ed. And you don't have any like Facebook groups or anything like that, right?
Working on it. We're working on a Disney project. COVID has slowed that down with stuff I've had to consume with the day job, but working on a Disney Facebook group and well, Facebook group is up, Disney Park Magic, but we are working on a Disney website. Just because there's a handful of folks I'm really good friends with that just absolutely love Disney, and we're looking for a place to have our own little sliver of the world to talk about a place that you either love or you hate. And I'm a lover of Disney, and we'll be going there soon.
So you are by far the best co-host I've had because literally, look at my next point. Why Disney? As a grown man, here's
Yeah.
what I want to know.
Yeah.
Why? That's it.
All right, so let me split it into two reasons. First,
Okay.
and I can't. So I was never going to have kids, to be clear. So this sort of snuck up on me, and I have kids, and we took our daughter there. She was our firstborn, and we took her there when we were 3, and we sort of fell in love with seeing Disney World through her eyes. And so that was the beginning of it. We also made a really great friend down there. We were spoiled, still are. And we used to get a VIP guide. And so we would go to Disney, and all the things that people hate about Disney, the VIP guide makes them all go away. They pick you up. They pick you up in a van from your hotel. They drive you into like the back lot, and there's no swiping of tickets. There's no waiting in lines. You walk in the exit of every ride, and you get on the ride. You ride it, and you get off. And if you want to ride again, you just ride again. So there's no waiting for anything. If you need food, they just like food magically appears. I mean, it's you get the front row seat in every show. Our kids love the fact that they could have me. That they could be like front and center in all the shows and all that stuff. So it was really cool for them. The interesting thing that happened as we got deeper into it, and I think you'll like this part. We haven't eaten together a ton, but are you a sushi fan?
Yes.
Okay, so when it's not illegal for people to like be within 6 feet of each other again, what I've told everybody like you who asks me the why Disney question is, if you love sushi, meet me in Disney.
Okay.
And here's the deal: we're gonna go to dinner, and it's at Epcot. It's called Takumitai. And this is where Disney, like, they do everything to like the millionth level. It's so vintage, accurate, like themed to the T. All the employees have deep experience, and the sushi is outstanding. And not only is it outstanding, but they have an omakase, and then they have a tasting menu as well. And like all the courses are just like completely off the charts. And you know, it's not cheap, but it's not by New York standard, it's not horrible. So like the full like 9 course tasting menu is like 200 and change. So not brutal, but not cheap, to be clear. But I mean, like for us with our kids, like we're never going to go to a top-notch sushi restaurant with our kids and have a 2-hour meal, because they're just not going to have that sort of patience. Like they don't mind sushi, don't get me wrong, but 2-hour dinners where mom and dad get to enjoy themselves are, those are mom and dad only. But what Disney does, I mean, like, so all the employees, again, they're all like, Disney does a great job sourcing employees from their home countries. And so while we're eating this unbelievably wonderful meal, the employees there's like 6 of them teaching our kids how to do origami. And so
Wow.
they're at a table next to us. They're building stuff. And my wife and I are drinking, $50 glasses of champagne and eating awesome sushi. It's like, I could deal with this kind of theme park.
Okay, I mean, sold. Yeah.
So that's the bet. When we can travel freely again, meet us in Disney, do like some of the Epcot food and drink stuff, and we'll go have sushi. There are parts of Disney maybe you won't love, but I can guarantee you I can get you a meal at Disney you never knew existed in terms of food quality and service.
I am sold. Yeah. So that was the first answer that I've ever heard where I was actually like, huh, makes sense. I
Yeah,
totally.
like you. Yeah, like I'm like you're not gonna stand 2 hours in line for a princess meet and greet. But so like another great example of why Disney is, so Epcot has their food and wine festival in the fall, and they also have a spring version that they call Flower and Garden Festival. Is really just another name for food and wine, because all people do is, like, some people show up and they drink as much cheap alcohol as they can for their park ticket, and that is a road you can go down. But what they do is, like, have you been to Epcot?
Yes.
Okay. So for those that haven't, you've got, like, you got all the different countries, Canada, Japan, Mexico, India, and a bunch more I'm forgetting. So what they do is all those countries have their own themed restaurants that are usually pretty on brand, pretty on cuisine. I mean, they're not all awesome because some of them are fast casual or counter service stuff like that. But what they do for Food and Wine is they have these barns that they put out in each of the countries. And so as you're walking by, there's like a crepes barn, and there's a champagne barn in France, and then there's a maple syrup. In Canada, there's a barn that just features desserts that are made with maple syrup, and in Mexico, there's beautiful taco stands. And so, like, to take it a step further, we went to Greece 5 years ago. Um, and we showed up at Epcot, and there was a booth from Greece that was a restaurant we'd eaten at when we were in Greece.
Oh, wow.
So they like talk about it like as authentic as you can get. They found people from this restaurant. We walked in like, gosh, these people look familiar. And it was a restaurant we'd eaten at just south of Athens, a little place called BougieMiles. And so it was like, you can't get much more authentic than flying these people to the US for 3 months and having them cook their native food in a booth in Disney. You can go to Athens and get that, but if you want it in the US, Disney does a pretty good job of it. So Food and Wine Festival, I think, is another great reason for adults without kids to go to Disney.
Sold. Yeah, that sounds amazing, actually. I've actually also been kind of dying to go to Disney prior to COVID because everybody's always talking about it. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't been there since I was like 14.
Yeah.
Maybe I should like give it another shot. And I remember I loved Epcot back then. I
Yeah.
may not have snuck into what's it called? Pleasure Island.
Oh, which doesn't exist anymore. The old island. Yeah, it's gone.
Okay, so yeah, so I may or may not have snuck into there, gone to the House of Blues, and gotten drunk on Blue Mobetta lemonades, I think it's called. I had a really good time.
Well, and what you also might find fun because it has a little bit of that miles and points nerdiness in it. Like, so the Disney equivalent of a mileage run is what I've done twice now. I did it once on my own. I did it once with my buddy Summer from now TPG Mommy Points, where there's a contest. It's called Parkeology. It's can you ride all the rides at Disney World in one day? There are about 50 of them. And it's just like a mad sprint, and like it's all this math of like where do you go when and timing and all that stuff. So it's just like a mileage run. Like, how do you put all the points together? Except you spend 18 hours running around Disney riding rides like a 10-year-old.
Well, that does sound fun, but I feel like I would throw up.
It's Summer, and this is why Summer will always be in my Hall of Fame, because she threw up twice the day that we did all the rides, and she still at 18 hours and 48 rides, and she blew chunks twice. So after the first time, I'd have been curled up in the corner in a ball, and I'd have been done for the day. Yeah, she literally did it from a moving car, and just like sat back down the seat, like, all right, let's keep going.
I remember that because I remember I donated, and I think
Thank you for that.
of course. I donated to both times you did that, I think. But I think the first one was like per ride.
Yep.
And it hadn't occurred to me to look to see how many rides were at Disney. And I was like, what if there's like 500 rides? I'm going to owe this guy like $1,000. Like, so I think there were
we got 48. We got 42 rides in.
Okay,
yeah, we got 42 rides in both times.
Okay, because I remember there being, I think I remember it not being that bad, and I was like, oh, maybe there's only 50 something rides there. Okay.
Maybe I'm not gonna need another mortgage to pay this donation.
Or how many rides there are at Disney? Like, why didn't I look before I, pledged? Yeah. So that brings me to another thing. When you're not with your spouse, the first time I went to like a big Miles and Points meetup, I remember thinking like, wow, there's so many people here who have such go with it spouses. Like all these people are here by themselves, And then I saw two things that you posted, and I thought to myself, like, well, if everybody was like this with their spouse, I totally understand why. The first was you posted a picture of you painting your wife's toes on Twitter. And
True,
then
true story.
and then I saw the open letter that you wrote to your wife when you started the blog, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, okay, well this makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a lucky guy. I don't think I know I met a lot of great spouses, but I pick mine, and she, I mean, God bless her. I mean, when we're, when plans change for whatever, mileage runs, work, stuff like that, I ask her, hey, like I was supposed to come home on Tuesday, now I'm going to come home in June, and her answer is always the same, which is, I'll figure it out, and I mean, I think that's that's what makes it easy to do what I do, is that she'll always figure out a way to make it out. So I mean, even when I'm exhausted when I get home, I want to do something that makes her feel special, because she was the one that carried all the weight with the kids while I was gone. And even though I was, the guy who just like was never going to have kids, I think the thing that I really realized very early on is, like, if you're going to have kids, you're making a commitment. And not to talk about, like, I didn't have the greatest childhood growing up, but, and that was partly why I didn't want kids. But once you have them, it's like, look, I mean, you have a minimum 20-year commitment, and that's like you're in for it. And so if I'm gone 100 days a year, that's 100 days that my wife is carrying the load for both of us, and that's a lot. And so she deserves like every medal you could possibly give, for that. And it means that whenever I can sneak home early on a flight and get home 6 hours early, 12 hours early, like, I do it because I know it's going to be easier on her. And I actually had one of the best surprises ever. And I don't want to give it away yet, because I know you want to talk about the craziness that I bought recently. So we'll tell that story shortly.
Yeah. So thank you to all of the spouses for being so awesome, and especially the ones who have multiple children. I mean, I feel like so lucky that mine is willing to take on the 3 pets when I leave, So I mean, he tends to do most of it anyway, to be honest.
Does he paint your toenails?
No, I remember seeing that and I was like, wow,
I
like
think
you're.
I'm pretty sure it was a one-time thing. I don't think I've done that since, but I do bring home a lot of flowers.
That was awesome though. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so yeah, so a little bit about this surprise. Please tell us the craziness that you've been dealing with in the past couple of weeks because you can't live without traveling.
Yeah. So short version is our daughter has dealt with anxiety from a very early age, since she was about 5, and I think it's important that I bring that up as often as I can, because the thing that I found, since we started talking about it, is how many other people, adults, children, you name it, that deal with anxiety. And so I think it's important to understand that that's something that we've dealt with for a decade, and that it's not going to go away. And so we build tools for our daughter, so that she can help herself, and we also do certain things to help make it easier for her. And so, when COVID hit, I wasn't comfortable getting on a plane. I'm still not comfortable getting on a plane, but I would absolutely go stay in a hotel. And in fact, I stayed in 2 hotels this week. Early on, I didn't want to, because we still didn't know if contact services were a thing, and but as we've learned more, it's like, well, like, I know the chance of me catching COVID from bed sheets is pretty low. So I'm cool with it. But our daughter's not. She's a germ freak, and COVID is like anxiety, level 1 million.
Mhm.
So we started renting RVs, and we rented like a Winnebago motorhome first, and it was a train wreck. And then we rented a couple of like travel trailers, that we rented some pickup trucks to pull them, and the kids loved it, absolutely loved it. I loved almost none of it because I'm a first class guy. I'm a 4-star hotel minimum sort of guy. For me, camping is sort of like a hotel without room service. That's like, kind of my bare threshold. Like Hyatt Place is a great campsite for me. Like, that works perfectly.
Thank you. Yes.
So, um, but like, we want to travel, and so we did a bunch of rentals, because we want to make sure we made the right decision when we bought something. Still made the wrong decision, so I've now owned 2 pickup trucks in 30 days. You'll hear more about that on the blog shortly, but it was a great big screw up. And so So I drove to Michigan because the trailer that we wanted was almost $20,000 cheaper in Michigan if I went to the biggest dealer in the country. And so I drove to Michigan, got a big hitch installed in the back of my pickup truck, and then I bought an RV, and a really really big RV, like 35 feet long, 14-foot tall, like whoa, big 12,000 pound, like gosh, like let's be really careful on the highway sort of thing.
Are you worried about driving it?
It was not a fun drive back because there's a lot of construction, and the roads in Michigan and Ohio are just like god awful, like horrible. Like they make the Major Deegan look like an ice skating rink, like perfectly smooth. So, and for those who don't know, Major Deegan is like traditionally, at least when I lived up there, one of the worst highways in New York. Um, but I'm not terribly worried, only because it's not like we're going to live in it full time, so we're not going to move it a ton. But we're planning a trip to Disney in October, where we're going to park it at Disney's campground for 2 weeks. So,
Okay.
um, but my surprise story about the trailer, which I love, like the kids knew I was going to get the trailer, but I haven't been gone in over 5 months, and so when I left to go, and I was going to be gone for like a little over 3 days, like there was some sadness when I left. Like, mom's still here and all that, but they really got used to having me at home. And so there was like, my daughter was a little bit mopey, and my son was a little bit mopey, and but then they kind of fell into like the daily routine for school and stuff. And I left on Tuesday, and they expected me back like Friday night or Saturday. Well, as things started to come together, it was like, well, like if I like work my ass off on all the stuff I need to do in Michigan, I can get back a lot earlier. So I managed to get back by driving. Like I drove straight there. I drove 10 hours straight there on the way there. And then the way back was a little bit longer, obviously, with pulling the trailer. I didn't want to drive as fast. So I broke it up. I drove Wednesday night late from Michigan, slept in Ohio at a Hampton Inn. And then, and of course, this is the point where everybody's like, "Wait, you just bought an RV and you're staying in
Yeah.
the Hampton Inn?" And the answer is yes,
About it.
because yeah, because they have beds and running water and all that stuff, all the things. And so then I drove the rest of the way the next day, and like nobody knew that I had left Michigan yet. The kids thought, and my wife thought I was still going through the trailer, like doing the inspection and all that stuff. And so I pull up in front of our house, and I call my wife. I'm like, "Hey, I'm texting you a couple pictures of the trailer. I'm just getting ready to pull out of Michigan." And she's like, "Okay." She goes, "Hey, kids, come see Daddy's sending some pictures of the trailer." And so I sent one picture of it in the warehouse, in Michigan, and then the next picture of it was it parked in front of our house. And so my wife swipes to the second picture, and my daughter screams at the top of her lungs, "Daddy's home!"
Oh,
And next thing I know, they're sprinting down the driveway, and the dog is running behind them, and I get tackled by them, and they couldn't, like, this is the part I say, like, I love the trying to surprise them with stuff like this, because they couldn't care less that there was a trailer, which is, a lot of fun. They were
right.
just happy that dad was home a day early. Like they thought like they had another day of, just, everything without dad hanging around. And so as a dad, that's the thing that makes me want to buy a trailer and go take them somewhere, because they want to spend time with us. I don't know why, but they want to spend time with me.
For now. For now.
For now, yeah, give it time. Yeah. My
That's really, really, really nice. And I can see why you would want to do that, obviously. It's like, I don't like to go to the dog park to deal with the crazies who hang out there, but my dog loves it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, we've definitely been in some campsites that were not my favorite. And I'm sure we'll be in campsites in the future that are not going to be my favorites. But we're going to make some memories. They're just going to be very different from the ones where we say, like, fly in business class to Sydney and like take a helicopter over the Great Barrier Reef like last summer. So the local KOA is just a shade different.
Yeah. Okay. So when travel is totally safe and everybody feels comfortable again, do you think that your kids will still want the RV, or are you like probably going to sell it?
I think they'll want the RV. I don't think I'll want everything that goes with an RV if we're traveling so little in it. Because I mean, it's another house, so it's got to be winterized, and it's got to be, there's repairs and maintenance and all that stuff. None of which I'll actually do. I'll just pay people to do that stuff because I can't do any of it.
Mm.
Um, so I put this whole thing together thinking that I will be the guy who in 2 years sells everything. And I think like these are the outside edges. Like when our kids go to college in 6 or 7 years, I highly doubt my wife and I are going to be camping. Like we're going to be on an island somewhere, many islands in many different places. So I really think that I think this is a 2-year thing for us. I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but this feels like a 2-year thing for me.
Okay, that makes sense. And you're prepared for the next one because now you'll have like some experience in the process if there happens to be another global pandemic, which God
Yeah. Yeah, and if we did go down this road again, like I almost did buy like the 43-foot Mac Daddy with like big leather sofas and the reclining chairs and the 50-inch flat screens and like that. I did scope that out, and if there's going to be another trailer past this 2 years, it's going to be full baller status.
Yeah, I understand. So I share that mentality with you. I think a lot of us Miles and Points people do go big or go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That was how I ended up with 2 pickup trucks, because I tried to go small, and then it was like, well, wait, like I'm never like, this is totally not going to be me. Like, no, we need something bigger. Silly
yeah,
boy.
that's what she said. Sorry, I have to do it. If I
Walked right into that one. Walked right. I ran into that one.
Are you a big Office person?
I'm way behind on TV, so I a little bit, but yeah, I'm only like 3 years behind, 5 years behind.
I think it's like more than that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. People keep suggesting shows to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still like 6 years behind on Homeland and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Oh, so that's interesting. So what do you watch if you don't watch The Office? I feel like that's the only thing that we can watch like over and over and over again.
Yeah, the weird thing is just I don't watch a lot of TV, even though I mean I love TV and I love movies, but so when I'm traveling and I'm away from the family, like if I'm in a hotel room at night, I'm working because I want to get home early. So I don't usually watch a show. Plus, back before you could download Netflix stuff, I wasn't going to stream in the hotel because the hotel's Wi-Fi is, not going to stream a Netflix movie. You couldn't stream Netflix on a plane before you could download. So I couldn't watch it on a plane. So I just worked. Then if I just worked my ass off, I could get home a day early. So then I come home and my wife and I would try and catch up on TV shows, but then I'd leave again. So
yeah, that's tough. We had to start like I started watching shows without him because I was like, you're at work all day. Like I like to have TV on in the background.
Sure.
So sometimes I have to watch things twice.
Yeah, I get it. And my wife does too.
Yeah, you get over it being able to. Although now I'd give anything not to be working from home.
Right.
How change like that,
Yeah.
Okay, so one piece of news that I wanted to discuss with you was, do you think that these change fee eliminations are going to last forever? Or do you think no? Because you know how United is saying like, for good, it's all for good.
And here's the thing, like the vast majority of the customer base right now is leisure travelers. And so those folks, the leisure travelers, like forever for them is, like they're traveling once or twice a year. So, I mean, like they have a very different perspective on forever than you and I do. You and I have also been around long enough to know that you can always tell an airline executive is lying because their lips are moving. So there's no such thing as forever in this industry. It'll be there will be a time that these fees will make sense again to them in 8 or 10 years. If the economy's booming, the fees will be gone again. I think we're safe for a couple of years, but we're not safe forever. There's no way.
You have so much more faith in them than I do. I already foresee like restructurings and bankruptcies just so that they can change their name so that they can reinstitute change fees. Like,
they would do that to get rid of the mileage program if they needed to, but I don't think things are going to get quite that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think airlines are going to look very different over the next 5 to 10 years, but at the end of the day, they make a ton of money selling miles and points. Yep. So they're not going to stop doing that.
Yep. They make some money off of me regularly. So, I guess,
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover.
Uh-oh.
So how about we play Plead the Fifth? Are you in or what? Okay. So the rules of Plead the Fifth are you can plead the fifth on the grounds that it may incriminate you to one of the 3 questions I ask. I can tell you that most people will plead the fifth on the second question.
So I don't even know what the third one is, and I'm not sure if that's the one I want to save my plead the fifth for.
Exactly. Well, you
Or if
kind
I
of
just
know what it is because you've seen the show before.
or I just want to we'll pretend I don't. And we'll just maybe I just want to embarrass myself in front of the entire world.
That
Wouldn't
sounds
be the
awesome.
wouldn't
And
be
I
the
think
first time.
the whole entire world is going to watch eventually. So, yeah, you should be careful. No, to my knowledge, nobody's gotten in trouble for anything they've said on the show yet. And I even told somebody that they had to not, I was like, you know what? Answer that again because you definitely don't want me to air that.
And by the way, not that we want to date the show because we don't want to I try to do this with that podcasting without talking about things like good morning or good afternoon or this is what's going to happen tomorrow. So I won't discuss the opponent. I will just say that going to the bottom of the eighth, the Yankees are tied and they really need to win just about every game between now and the end of the season. So just putting that out there.
Just so everyone knows. Just
Yeah.
put it out there.
Not even gonna say the score. Not even gonna say the score. So if you're watching this a month from now, you won't know which opponent it was that we lost to that was miserable in our division and usually was our doormat.
So how much longer is left in the game? Because I think I can probably get you out of here in like 3 minutes.
Oh, it's okay. I got a little game cast up here on the screen, so I can see the Yankees losing again. Like it's great. Like, we have found epic ways to lose over the past handful of weeks, just in all the best ways. So I can watch us epically lose in the corner of the screen while we talk about pleading the fifth.
Well, there you go. You podcasters are really good at multitasking.
I think a lot of travel bloggers are just because there's so many pieces and bits and stuff like that that we kind of have to you kind of have to be able to walk and chew gum in this sort of an environment. If not, you miss things. It's like you think about all the best deals. You're like they almost always happen during our work days, like back when daily getaways used to be awesome. Like the productivity of travel bloggers went down at 1 p.m. Eastern every day during daily getaways as we started mashing these buttons trying to buy these great deals. So
true.
you gotta have to be able to multitask if you're into the miles and points world.
Yep. So what ends up happening to me is I'm like an interesting case because I'm a little bit of a workaholic, but I also have ADD.
Mm.
So sometimes I'll take like a full weekend off.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like nearly impossible for me to do anything that I'm supposed to do during that weekend. So like I already know like it's just not going to happen. I'm taking a break and I'm not even going to look because it's just going to stress me out. So it just so happens that like the two biggest deals that I can possibly think of, they both happened on a Saturday morning. Like on one of those weekends where I was like, I'm not looking at anything. And I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Usually it's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Monday morning or no, both on Saturdays. And I was like, how does this always happen to me?
Well, that's why I almost never shut off because I'm always waiting for that
Yeah,
thing. So
it's the day you like, no,
yeah.
it's when it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys who I have, Twitter notifications set up and I'm like constantly scanning headlines of stuff because it's like I don't want to miss the next big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Going all the way back to I think the first two I ever saw that I jumped on was like $17 from Toronto to Athens.
Wow.
That was a while ago. That was like early 2000s, late 90s sort of thing. And then the other one, and I still kick myself in the ass for this. Oh my god, like just so stupid. But it was a different time. It was probably like 2002 and Qantas had first class tickets and they loaded a first class fare. I want to say it was San Francisco, Sydney. Gary would remember if you from us. He would like just pick it up and like remember, yeah, it was a Tuesday and it was like 72 degrees and there were clouds in the air. Anyway, it was a first class ticket, which is normally like a $14,000 fare, and they had slipped a zero and it was 1,400, and it was fully refundable, and
Wow.
so it was $1,400 first class round trip to Sydney. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I didn't connect the fully refundable part. And so I'm like, do I really want to put $2,800 up? I was a lot younger then. Do I really want to put up $2,800 and I might not be able to take this flight? And it disappeared in a few hours. And somebody, it was probably Gary, pointed out to me afterwards, like, it was fully refundable. You could have just like gotten your money back. And it's like,
Salt in the wound.
oh, why'd you have to point that out?
Yeah, I didn't need to know that.
No. So I missed that one. I think the other one I missed that's still a bummer too was do you remember the Fairmont lifetime status deal?
No.
That was around that same time, 2002, 2003. Fairmont's status back then, their top tier status, I think it was called presidential. I wouldn't swear by that. But at any rate, the Fairmont in San Francisco had a deal. You booked.
I was in
Yeah,
high school. Wait, I'm thinking.
I know. I'm old.
So
You
I
book.
remember that.
You had to book either 1 or 2 nights at the Fairmont in San Francisco in a suite. And if you did, you got lifetime status in their program for booking it.
Wow.
And
Like,
it was what's that?
like a good status, higher?
Well, that's the thing. It was their top tier status, and it was like the trip was like $1,600, let's say something like that. But you got one free night every year at a Fairmont property, and it was like, well, gosh, I mean, like that's a total no brainer. And I remember seeing it, and I don't remember what it was. Like I called Gary or I called my wife or it was, whatever I did. That took 15 minutes. And that was the last 15 minutes that deal was alive and it was gone. And that taught me the lesson of like, you always hit the button and then you figure it out later.
Figure it out later.
Yeah.
100%.
Just
Yep.
start mashing the button over and over again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think that you saying that actually kind of changed my perspective on my notifications because I have them turned off because I'd rather just like do things on my time. It's an ADD thing. But I feel like I've missed so many good deals where people send me a message like, "Hey, did you see this?" And then 3 hours later, I'm like the Emirates first. I think it was like I don't even remember. That was like last year. Gib broke it, and
Yeah.
everyone was like rushing for it. And my friend had sent it to me like the minute it came out, and I was like, "Why didn't I see that? Thank you, hon."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to miss things, but I think I'm gonna go with notifications from now on. Because I'm sick of missing crap. I mean, it's not like I miss that much, but yeah, that's definitely the mentality. Book it and worry about the details. Like
You got 24 hours to cancel if it touches the US anyway.
exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Until that rule goes away forever.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. That's coming. Okay, so here we go. Plead the fifth. Now, I went to law school, so I know these things. First one. Who do you think is the best blogger of all time other than you? It could be podcaster, YouTuber, whatever you want to.
It's probably a toss up between Gary and Summer for different reasons. Gary, because he's just like, I don't know who it was it referred to him as. I think it was Greg Frequent Miler referred to him as a cyborg. But I mean, he's not human. He can produce content at a speed that just like it should be illegal in 30 states. So there's that. Summer, I think, just because she really just has a nose for what people really want to know. Like she can look at something and be like, oh, like we need to talk about that. And she can just sniff something out and blow it up into something magical in a way that I just just don't have those skills. She's legit ninja in my world.
Wow. Okay. Those are glowing endorsements of both people. And I think at least Gary's been the answer at least 3 times.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So you're right there with the consensus. Okay, so number 2, like I said, this is the one that most people tend to plead the fifth on. Who's the worst?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm going to plead the fifth on this one or not. Can we do the third one and then I can decide which one I'm going to plead the fifth on? That probably breaks the rules. You are a lawyer, so.
Yeah, I mean that kind of breaks the rules, but since you're Ed, yeah, we can do that. You're a very special guest. I was very excited when you said you.
I gotta. Here's the funny thing. I'm gonna pull up while we're talking. I'm gonna pull up my RSS feed list and just like scan through the names and just think of like who the worst are. And there's one.
I have
there's 2.
I think is the worst. That eventually I'm gonna have somebody be my plead the fifth person. Like they're gonna ask me, Actually,
yeah, I will say it. I know this isn't the answer to the question, but I mean, just to be clear, like, the people that piss me off the most in the blogging world are the ones. Are we allowed to curse here or no?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Anybody that another travel blogger is dead to me because here's the thing, like this isn't a zero sum game. If you make somebody else feel like crap,
Yep.
it doesn't make you better. We're all trying to make a living here. Some people, this is their primary job, and talking down to someone about what they said or did or a typo they had or whatever it is they're deciding to do, F-bombs or no?
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah.
just if it's an F-bomb, I just do whoa.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So anybody that feels like that they need to do that to someone else in the space and belittle them, just shut the f- up.
Mm,
And I didn't really realize this. I'm gonna leave this little nugget here, and then we'll move on to happier things. I used to hear all these stories from female bloggers about the way that they were treated, and look, I have a daughter. I want her to think that she can be anything in the world. I don't want her to think that there are borders anywhere. I don't want her to think there are limitations because there shouldn't be. And my wife has blogged for me periodically, and when she blogs, she gets 10 times more shit than I do from people.
oh yeah.
And it's just, like, I, I just don't get it. And I understand that there's like plenty of hate and bigotry and misogyny and racism in the world. I get all of it, but like, when bloggers do that to other bloggers, it just it overlooks the fact that every single one of us has been vilified and embarrassed and treated like shit by someone, some commenter, some troll, something. So like, why do we have to do it to each other? Just like
Yeah.
find something better to do with your time. And if like that's really like if you pounding on your keyboard telling me I'm an idiot is what makes your day, man, you really need to get out more, because I can make myself an idiot all on my own. I don't need any help whatsoever.
Very well said. I mean, that's sort of so just to be clear, do you have one you want to mention? Or I mean, this could even be an opportunity for you to kind of return the favor.
I'm gonna pass. I will say, like, and maybe what I'll do is maybe I will publish the list of blogs that I follow, and I will tell you that I have flipped through them while we're sitting here, and there are 3 people here who, for lack of a better colorful terminology, I would definitely not I've definitely not helped them out if they were in a bad situation. Let's just say that.
Oh, nice. All right. That's funny. Yeah, being a woman is such an interest. It's such a double-edged sword in so many different areas of life, especially this.
Yeah. And look, I gotta say, like, for any woman like you who's putting yourself out there with a public persona, knowing the shit that you take from people, I mean, like, kudos to you, because I mean, I'm sure I'd do it too if I was a woman, but there's so many who just like they get chased away from doing this because of those hateful people, and it's like, you know what, like, grow the f up.
Yeah. I always say, like, if some like, honestly, if you're really worried about what I am doing in like on the internet in one blog post, like you need to get a life, dude.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people with keyboards without lives.
Oh my God, there's so many. It's
Yeah.
like I want just like one at Bougie that just really like makes it their mission to hate me because I don't have anybody and it's driving me crazy. At Miles to Memories, I had like a couple,
Oh,
but
you will. I'm sure that's when you know you've arrived. When the trolls come out, you're like, bam, I'm here.
exactly. I've had
How do
like
you like me
2 so
now?
far. Yeah, and I'm like, where are my trolls? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I know that I'm super likable and amazing, but like there's got to be some people who don't like me. I'm just looking to find them. So if you don't like me, please let me know.
I don't like you. I probably should have said that an hour ago, but whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, it's very interesting. I used to play poker. Well, I played poker professionally for a little while.
Me too.
It
Not
was,
very well.
I'm sure, better than me. Also, anybody who hasn't realized, we're actually on with Edward Norton from Rounders.
Anybody who has watched that movie, like back when that movie came out, and that was around the time that I was playing just a boatload of poker. I like people be like, "Hey, what, Ed?" Because
Yeah,
and I'm like, "No, he's got more zeros than I do."
and you're like, yeah, my name is Ed too. That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, when I
yeah.
first met you, I was like, whoa, anybody? You were like, yeah, obviously, people have told me that. Duh.
And let's just be clear too. When you were giving me shit earlier about how long it took me to come on your show, just remember, like, I had you on my show very early on. You were like episode 15 or something.
Yeah, it was really early. And I was
Yeah.
very green. You know what's funny? Every time I go on a podcast now, I think about something you told me before we started. You were like, let's just do a like a quick test with the microphone. And I was like, hi, I'm Beth. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to talk like that. You were like, no, please don't. It was terrible. I was like, I love this guy. Anybody who can really just like tell you, in the
Yeah,
nice,
don't do that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I
Well,
knew
that
he had, and I was like, all right, you know what? That's really good advice. Don't make that stupid voice.
that was also still that was the first time I ever saw live twerking during a podcast episode through the window at the TI at the pool there. It was pretty legendary. Yeah.
I remember I had my back to it, and I was
Yeah.
like so focused on the mileage run thing
Hmm.
I was talking about, and I was like looking at your face, and I was like, there's something going on behind me.
Oh, it was so bad. It was like that was like the pool at TI on the real cheap days. Like that is like true people watching at its best. It's better than any airport terminal I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. And if you go to Vegas, especially now I've heard, like there's some prime interesting people watching happening, especially prior to the mask policy.
Well, yeah, are they wearing the masks while they're twerking? I just want to know, are they being safe? Safe twerking?
I feel like no twerking is safe, but it's probably safer if you're wearing
Yeah,
a
yeah, 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 yeah. You don't want to exchange those bodily fluids.
yeah.
It is Vegas after all.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you can, yeah, we could really go off the rails with that one.
Yeah, Yankees are still tied, by the way. They haven't lost the game yet, but they will.
And how many outs are we at?
We're in the top of the ninth.
Oh, all right.
And it's at home, so we've got one more chance to win before we lose.
Okay.
All right, question number 3.
Yes. So question 3, shag, marry, kill. I made yours kind of really hard. And I'm sorry. Although it's actually not that hard because you could, well, you'll see.
Okay, let's see how many people I kill at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So I figured I wanted to pick like the people who I think that are like your favorite. And then I also wanted to give the people who chose you an opportunity to, see where they stand with you. Just to
I'm not
see.
shagging Joe. Just not gonna happen. Not my type. And I can't shag anybody shorter than me. That's just not. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay, so yeah, Joe was one of them. So you have Joe. The other person who chose to marry you on the show was Angelina.
Oh, I love her.
And wait, here's the best one. And Summer.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Shag,
didn't get.
kill.
I didn't get this. Has Summer been on yet?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say because I haven't seen her episode, but and I haven't talked to Ange since she moved, and I need to reach out to her because she's in Florida now, which is like crazy. But like I feel like there's a reasonable chance I'm gonna like drive past her with a like really big RV at some point here in her future. So
Well, you should go see her. She's in
yeah,
Tampa. Right?
is it Tampa? Okay, all right, so that's not too bad. That's only 2 hours from the big O where Mickey hangs out.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what's your answer? Are you thinking, strategizing?
I'm trying to decide. if I should kill Joe or not.
I know. Mm-hmm.
I can't. Well, I can't really kill him because I am.
He chose to marry you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did invite him to the Disney project. So, I mean, like, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another grown man who freaking loves Disney, but he and I got
Yeah.
so sidetracked. And so,
Yeah.
yes, I have Ed coming on. I can ask him that question.
So, all right. So help me understand the rules. Since I obviously didn't see Joe's shag, marry, kill. Can I only shag one, marry one, and kill one, or can I do it the same for all 3?
Oh no, it's got to be 1, 1, and 1. So you have to kill somebody. You have to
Man.
choose somebody to marry, spend the rest of your life with, and then obviously, you know what shag means.
I'm not. Yeah, there's no way I'm spending the rest of my life with Joe. So he's only a shag or a kill. So that's kind of rough there. Oh man. Well, I mean, Summer's the easy one to marry, so that's an easy one because she and I are like, as I tell people, like she's like brother from another mother for me. We work on a bunch of Disney stuff together, and I love working with her. I guess I could kill Angelina and shag Joe, or shag Angelina and kill Joe, but those are the only 2 choices I have, and that's kind of weird because I don't really want to shag Joe. I got to be honest with you. Little scruff thing that he had on, they're really not doing it for me. Oh man, this is so tough.
Don't make you say it though.
Oh God, I don't really want to shag Joe. I
You don't
really
feel
don't. But yeah, I mean, the tough part I have with killing either Summer or Ange is I just know they take so much crap from like random assholes on the internet.
kill Joe. It's easy. I figured you would kill Joe anyway.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We should kill Joe. We
Yeah.
should.
He's the guy. It's the gentleman
Joe,
thing to do.
Joe, I'm sorry, but can I kill him and still use him for the Disney project, or is that against the rules?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. As long as I can kill him and still use him for the Disney project, I'm down with that.
Yeah. You can kill
So,
him with an asterisk. Like, hey, Angelina's like a little bit better looking than you, so I'd rather shag her.
oh, that's really mean though, because that's just cruel to Ange. Because saying that she's just a little better looking than Joe. I mean,
Well, we're trying to be diplomatic here. Angelina will love that.
yeah, she's gonna love that comparison. Like, yeah, you know what? She's gonna love that comparison. I'm the one that's gonna be driving the RV past her house. I'm gonna knock on the door. She'd be like, "I heard you on Bougie, and your ass is out."
Yeah. She really does get she doesn't care. I gotta
Yeah,
say.
she was another very early guest of the podcast too. Right after we were at TI.
She's the best. She's my Miles and Points bestie.
Oh, I love her to death. She's awesome. I wish that I saw her more. And like with her living in Tampa, I'm not sure when we're going to Tampa anytime soon. At least when I would go up to New York, it was reasonable chance she'd pop in the city and stuff. But it's tough having her that far away.
Yeah, it sucks. Hopefully, if we ever do another Freddy's, you got to make sure I'm invited for real this time, though.
You would have been invited this year until we canceled.
When I saw my name on the name tag with BougieMiles, that was the first time I had ever seen it in print.
Nice.
So excited. I have it saved somewhere here.
Yeah. I just don't. It's weird. Like here we are. It's September. I don't know if we're having a Freddy's in April. Who knows what we're going to be doing in April?
I know. I'm worried. I'm really worried about that because, especially for me, I'm somebody who really shines like in person. Not quite as much like in video. And
I think you're doing a pretty good job shining in video. I mean, especially when you put guys like me and Joe alongside you, like that's like superstar. Like,
right when you were like, "Who wants to look at me for an hour?" I was like,
right.
They don't want to look at you; they want to look at me.
Right. Just keep bringing schmucks like me and Joe on, and you will look awesome.
Well, Angelina was my second guest, so I'm all about like if there's two pretty girls on the screen, I'm even happier.
Sure.
But
Joe and I not pretty girls. Like not like if we were girls, we wouldn't be pretty. Like just not gonna happen.
Probably two of my top three guests. So I was so excited too with Joe because I started listening to podcasts like way back in the day, and his was one of the first ones that I remember listening to for Miles and Points. So I was like, it was like
right. But let's be honest. I'm better than Joe. Like I mean, come on.
Sure.
Hi, Joe. Good to see you. Sorry I killed you. Love you. Sorry I killed you.
All right, so you did it. So you successfully played Plead the Fifth.
I did. I pled away.
And you did a great job. Great job. And you can get back to your beautiful family.
Yeah. Okay. And Costco shopping too. Don't forget Costco.
Oh, no.
I love it.
Nope. There's 60 pounds of cheese all over the place. I want nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, really quick story. The first time I ever went to Costco, I brought my little dog, and he shit in the organic. That's what he thought of Costco. Like, nope, get me out of here. But luckily, nobody in Costco was in the organic section. Go figure. So nobody. Anyway, all right, Ed, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And everybody will know where they can find you because I'll put all the links in the description. And everybody, don't forget to subscribe, please. I need to make some money. Actually, everything that I make the first year on YouTube is going to East Coast Canine Rescue.
So, I love it. I did see the bet that you had with Joe. You had Tiger who didn't win, and he had
Tony Finau.
Okay, yeah, so another one you guys won.
No, I don't know. But I made the bet, the donation anyway. So yeah, everyone.
Well, I am we are a rescue family as well. We've had 2 rescue dogs, so I'm down with matching your donation for whatever you're making for this episode. So
okay, all right. So we'll do $25.
Perfect. Do it. Send me a link, and we'll help a rescue organization. I love it. Ours is a brindle from Bring Home a Brindle, the rescue company. So.
Well, that's so cool. Yeah, that was actually how I knew I loved you. because the first conversation we had was you telling
That's
me
right.
your wife said, and that's why I know I love your wife too.
Yeah.
Saying like your wife said, listen, if we're gonna have dogs, they're gonna be rescues. And I was,
Yeah. Yeah.
you won my heart in that moment. You and Angelina, actually.
Yeah. Oh,
That's the
she's
first
a rescue.
time I ever spoke to her too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, I don't want to, I don't want to bug on people who don't go the rescue route, but there's so many pets out there that need a good home. So, like, just do the right thing and go find a rescue.
God, this is why I love this man so much. If you guys didn't know. And everybody download his podcast, follow the blog, do everything you got to do, and stay tuned for the next Disney.
Disney Parks magic is going to be a thing, I promise. But for now, you can do Miles to Go, which we love talking miles and points. So, and just to be clear, people, so everybody listening and watching can hold you accountable. You promised you're coming on the podcast again.
It would be my pleasure.
Cool.
All right, so thank you and bye.
See ya.